Good morning, gentlemen. All right. Welcome to the last Bloodhound workshop of the year. So, all right, yeah, just to make sure everybody knows, let's I think I know who the mailman is, but um let's see. Yeah, so there's some names here I don't quite recognize. So just to make sure, everybody understands that in December, we do take a little break on these workshops. So that way I can get caught up, on a bunch of miscellaneous clerical stuff, you know, um, all that day to day work stuff that you don't want to do, but still needs to get done. Yeah. So the workshops will pick back up after the new year here. So it'll be, depending on what day the new year falls on, um, it could be the first week of January or it might be the second week of January. Um, it just depends. Um, Kind of like how Thanksgiving, sometimes you get a shortened holiday spending season, and sometimes you get an extra week. Depends on when Thanksgiving falls on November. So it's kind of the same thing for when these workshops start back up in January here. So, um, and also, if you check the registration link here, right, if we open that up, right, Zoom will tell you the dates here. Yeah, so at some point in December, the dates will be repopulated again. So that way you can check to see exactly which day in January these workshops pick back up. So, and just to make sure, in case anybody's thinking of asking, we do always use the same webinar um, what webinar template or circuit. I'm not sure what to call it, but yeah, we do use the same webinar link. Um, we just add more dates for the next coming year, right? So in other words, you don't have to re-register for next year's workshops, right? So um, let's see here. All right, so yeah, let's see what else here. Um, well, actually, yeah, I should ask here since there are, just looking again here. Well, actually, no, I think I do recognize most of the names here, but let me ask just in case here. If Let me ask if there is anybody new to these workshops, or if there's anybody who's somewhat new to these workshops, and more importantly, would like to hear the workshop introduction. All right, so the workshop introduction is where I'll explain what we do and what we do not do in these workshops. I'll explain how the recordings work. And then the third item is I'll explain what indicators here I can install on this machine, for demonstrating questions, with Bloodhound and Blackbird. All right. So if anybody would like to hear the workshop introduction, let me know. I'll get that out of the way first. Um, Otherwise, so I'll give you guys a little minute here because I know um, for some reason there always seems to be somebody who's like on a 30-second delay. So I'll give everybody plenty of time here. Um, and in the meantime, um, I'll mention that I do have an emailed in question here. As you can see, I already have um, a moving average envelope indicator on my chart in preparation for this emailed in question there. So that will get the workshop started. And then I'll take your guys' live questions after that. And let's see. It looks like Manny has a question here. All right. Yeah. So Manny actually has a separate question. So Um, let's see here. So, okay, well, all right. I don't see any takers for the workshop introduction. So let's jump into the first question here. All right. So a screenshot was sent in, which is always nice when you're emailing a question in to provide a screenshot. Always helpful. And we also have some text here. There we go. So here's the text. All right. So this is using the moving average envelope, two of them here, right? So a 50 SMA, and there's two of them because the envelope percentage is different between the two envelopes here. So we can see we have one that uses a 0.2%, and the other indicator uses a 0.3% here, right? So that's why we have two sets of lines here. And so to go long is going to use the moving average envelope here, the red line that's using the 0.3% setting, right? So the wider envelope, the 0.3. So actually, it would be nice. Yeah, if we just kind of threw that in there. There we go. And then to go short, it's going to use the indicator with the 0.2% envelope. So there we go. We'll slip that in there. All right. So in other words, to go short here is off of the 2.2%. So, all right. And that's what these arrows here are trying to show is, go short off of this red line, go long off of the outer red line there. Right. Now the way this is written, it sounds like you actually want a signal when price touches the envelope. But if you keep reading, it says the entry is actually by placing an order, placing an order on the indicator line. So you can't have both, right? So yeah, because you can't have both because price could come down here, generate a long wick, and then pull back up. And then if you put an order on the line after price made its drawdown and then move back up, then you're not going to get filled here, right? So you got to be mindful of the timing of your system here, right? So basically, these signals have to occur before price comes down and touches whatever moving average line that you want a working order. By the way, orders in NinjaTrader, they use the term working and accepted. So yeah, I know NinjaTrader uses the term pending, but I'm trying to get that changed. So technically, the correct word to be in alignment with NinjaTrader would be a working. So that, yeah, this would be a working limit order, not pending. So yeah, so in other words, to have a working order, ready, on the indicator, right? We have to get a signal before price actually comes down and touches it, right? So, so so the way this is written technically, you would probably want to use a market order to get in. So when Bloodhound actually generates a signal when price actually touches, then you probably want to use a market order, right? Because there's a good chance that that price may not come back down and fill your order. So yeah. So and also, yeah, just another note here. So it says when price touches, and price must touch. And then it says as close to the tick. So yeah, you can't have both. You can't be close and then require a touch. So it's one or the other here. Um, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into a two-parter. All right. So I'm going to build the original. I'm going to build this. The first system I'm going to build is actually going to be the correct way to be able to place a working order on the indicator line, right? And then the second system here, we'll build it according to the way this is written so that a discrete signal is created when price actually touches there, and then you could use a market order to get in. So yeah, so we'll dice this up, two different ways here. All right, so anyways, it's pretty simple, right? Obviously, yeah, this is pretty simple there. So let's dive right in. All right, so I already have the moving average envelope on my chart, and I color code them so that we know, right, we're going long off of the lower outer line and going short off of the upper inner line there. So, let's see here. All right, so let's get Bloodhound open. All right. And the first thing you want to do is put in a file name there, so that way our work gets saved to a file. And all right, there we go, December 5th. Save that. There. All right, so now we have a file name saved here. And we can see that up at the top title bar there. So, all right, yeah, so as mentioned, we're going to build the first system we're going to build is going to work, for submitting, having Blackbird submit an order that is basically trailing the indicator line there, right? So, so when you look at this, well, how do we know, if we're not, if waiting for a price to actually touch is too late, to put a working order on there, then what's the other option? Well, the other option is just monitor when does price get close enough to this line, and then we can place a entry order there. And since we already have kind of these two lines here, I think what's probably fair enough to do is when price actually comes in and touches this line or maybe crosses it, if price closes below this inner line here, then that'll be the cue to tell Blackbird to submit a trailing entry order there, right? So obviously, this is a personal decision, so you kind of have to determine, based on what instrument you're trading, the volatility of that instrument. You'll have to determine, how close does price need to get, to our entry point here, there. So some more volatile instruments, you'll probably want that distance, further away from from that entry point line there. But since for the ES, right, the ES is fairly subdued. So I think for the ES, probably waiting until the market gets to the second line ought to work just fine there. So to do that, let's see here. Let's see. Yeah. All right. We're going to use a comparison solver here, right? So whenever you're checking to see if price is, above or below some moving average line or any indicator line there, right? You're comparing price to that indicator line. So we're going to use the comparison solver. So input A is going to be price. So we're going to switch the type over to price. And instead of using the closing price, let's actually use the more extreme prices. So we'll use the low price and the high price of the bar here. All right. So to go long, we're going to check to see if the low price of that bar, went below this moving average envelope line. So to take a long trade, we're going to be monitoring the low price to see, right, when that low price gets close enough to our entry line there. And then for a short, it's going to be the opposite. So for the high price, right? So in other words, when the high price of that bar gets close enough, that's what we want to monitor. And actually, yeah, we're going to set this up this way here. Next, input B is going to be our moving average envelope. And remember, we're comparing it to the inside moving average envelope, right? Obviously, so this is the 0.2%, right? So we're going to be using the 0.2%. That's the inner one, So input B will be, let's put MA there. We'll search for moving average. And is it here? There it is. All right, and we'll go and put the settings in. So we're using the 0.2 percentage and put in the 50 SMA. All right. And so we want to generate a long output using the lower band, right? So when that low price of the bar comes down, and goes below the lower band, that's when we want to generate a long output, and the upper band for a short output here. All right. And next, we need to go into the comparison rules here and get these set up correctly here. All right. So for the long output, it says if the low is greater than the moving average envelope. No, we want the low price to be less than, right? We want the low price to be lower than the moving average envelope. So we're going to switch this to the less than, but we could also, let's include the equals as well. So if the low price is less than or equal to the moving average envelope, right, and that's going to be the lower line there. So for a short output, right, it's going to be the opposite condition here. So I'd say 99.9% of the time, you always want these conditions to be opposite of each other. Right? That is the typical way that the comparison solver is always used. So there is the rare occasion where sometimes you might need both of them the same, but that's super rare. And I can't think of anything off the top of my head because that's how rare it is. So, all right. So there we go. Now, when we look at this, there we go. No output. So I have a feeling that, yeah, I think a 50 moving SMA is probably just too slow for the S and ES. Well, especially this time of year. So, all right. So let's do this. Actually, hold on. There. All right. So I want to get this solver named here first. Then I'm going to close Bloodhound and let's switch over to the NQ. Hopefully that provides enough volatility here that we can actually get some signals. There we go. All right. Let's see where. And okay, so we only had to go back to yesterday. All right, so yesterday, there we go. So perfect. So we can see, right? Even though, actually no entry order would have been filled here, but that's okay. I mean, we're dealing with Bloodhound today. So, but that's what we want to see is when price goes below the inside moving average envelope here. All right. And so hopefully you've noticed that we actually have a problem here. We're actually getting our short signals too late, right? So, we should already be in the trade by the time this signal, by the time price, hits the upper line here, right? So that's a little too late there. So we need to make another solver here that's going to use, a line here, an envelope line that's even more inside, right, closer to the midline here. So that way we're getting a signal sooner, right? Because we probably would like to see, a signal here, obviously, there, to tell Blackbird to go to place that entry order here. And we probably want to see a short signal, all along here, all along here as price gets close enough to this, to the upper line here. Right? So, essentially, this solver is really only effective for the long signals here, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take the evaluate and set it to long only because it's only good for the long signals, right? Since we have, and that's again because, right, we're taking longs off of the outer envelope line and we're taking shorts off of the inner, right? So as this, as you should recognize here, right, we're using two separate indicator settings to do this. So that means we're going to need two separate solvers to solve this problem as well, right? You can't have two separate indicator settings inside of one input, right? That's just not how platforms work. So we're going to take this and copy it and paste the copy down there. And this copy here is going to be using the 0.3 envelope settings there, right? Get rid of the extra period. There we go. Okay. Let's connect this up there, right? So this one is going to be for longs. And so we might just note that right there. Put long there. This one short there. There we go. So that way we know what each one is doing. Let's see. Oh, and actually, let's see. This is not going to be using a 0.3. We need to make the percent envelope percent offset even tighter. So 0.1. We'll try 0.1 there. See how that works. All right. And also, since this one is for a short output, you got to remember to change our evaluate here. So we're going to change this to short only. There we go. All right. So now we can see this solver here is giving us the short outputs there. Right. So let's go and change the indicator settings here. So it's using a 0.1%. That way we'll get a short output a little sooner here. So we're going to go into input B, go into the moving average envelopes here, and adjust our setting to 0.1, like so. And there we have it, right? Yeah, so as long as price is close, gets close to our, to our envelope line here, for placing that entry order on. There we go. So, all right. So it took two solvers, right, to get our signals to tell Blackbird, when to place a buy entry order or when to place a sell entry order. Right. And of course, we have a problem, right? We can only connect one of these to the result node at a time. So this is when, so when you kind of have to divide your signals, your long signals and your short signals into two separate nodes here, that is when you need to use the OR node, or I should say that's one of the cases, one of the situations where you have to use the OR node to combine them all back together, right? So there's the longs, plug this in, and now we have the shorts. So now we have both long and shorts there. And so that's it. There we have it. So we have everything we need for Blackbird to then place those entry orders there. Right? Now, one thing to note here, if you're thinking far enough ahead, you might be thinking, well, we get a short here. So Blackbird places a, let's actually get rid of these, right? So Blackbird places a sell entry order. And yeah, I'll just use a square, right? Places a sell entry order, moves along, and who knows? It might actually have gotten filled there. It's kind of hard to tell, right? Depends on the level 1 book, whether it got filled or not. So it might have gotten filled there. Let's just say it did get filled, right? And so now Blackbird is short, right? It's short here. So, so what about the rest of these other short signals? What's going to happen? Well, if Blackbird is in a short position, it ignores all other short signals, right? Because you're already in a short trade. So Blackbird's just going to ignore all of these short signals here, right? Now, if, if let's say maybe your goal here is to take profit right at the mean line there, the midline or the mean, right? So maybe this is just a reversion to the mean system. That's kind of my impression. This is a reversion to the mean system here, right? So you take your profit right there. And so now we're flat, and then Blackbird sees short signals again, and then Blackbird will then once again, place that sell entry order until it gets filled, right? And then it gets filled, and now Blackbird is short again. And so all of these short signals are ignored as long as Blackbird is in that short position. Right? So in other words, we don't in this particular case, we don't have to worry about these extra short signals here, because Blackbird will just ignore them. All right, so this is it, for the intention of this question here. This is all we need. And so, yeah. And let's see here. Yeah, so the rest is up to Blackbird. Yeah, the rest is up to Blackbird. So we'll get Blackbird to obviously recognize these long and short signals here, but then we'll also get Blackbird to recognize that when there is no signal, so in other words, when these long signals go away, to then cancel that buy entry order, right? And same thing here, if, right, if this didn't get filled here, then when the short signals disappear, we'll just have Blackbird cancel that sell order. And then when the sell signals appear again, then we'll have Blackbird replace that sell entry order. So, okay, so there we go. I think that does it. So let's see here. We should name this system here. All right. So essentially, yeah, these signals here for working, entry orders there. So let's see here. Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking to myself how I'm going to build the other type of system here, where we'll just get into the trade when price actually touches here. So yeah, okay. All right. So I'm going to create a new logic template here. And there you go. All right, so this one will be used for submitting a market entry on touch there. So, so if you need, so let's see here. Yeah, so for this, we want discrete trade signals. Yeah, and let's see, actually, yeah, so we do actually have an example here of where we would want to see a discrete short signal right there, right? So price broke it, so we want to see a discrete short signal there. Yeah, and so what we're going to use instead here, right? So with the previous system, we used comparison solvers, right? So if you're ever, a little tip here, so if you're not sure what solver any particular node is, right, you can just click on it, and on the property inspector it tells you right there at the very top, this is a comparison solver right there, right? So that way you can just put in whatever name you want, and then you can just click on it and it tells you what actual solver this actually is there. Yeah. So so this time we're going to add crossover solvers. And we're just going to check when the high price crosses right the upper inside envelope, and then when the low price crosses the lower outside envelope there. Yeah, hopefully I can find an example of a long signal there, but for now, let's see, this is going to be short. Um, there. There you go, crossover. All right, so this is a moving average envelope with a 0.2 percentage crossover. see. So input A, right, is going to be the high price and the low price. So we're going to change the input type for A to price. So essentially this crossover solver is going to look exactly the same way that we built these comparison solvers here. So for a short, we're looking at the high price there. And so for a long signal, we're looking at the low price. All right, input B, that will be the moving average envelope. There we go. There we go. All right, so let's see, a short signal using the upper, long signal using the lower band. All right, and let's see here. All right, so you'll notice we're actually getting a short signal when the high price crosses down, right? So if we connect the high to the high, it's when the high prices cross down, you get a short, right? Because normally when you're doing crossovers, you know, you want a short when you get a cross down, you want a long when you get a cross up. But we actually want the opposite this time. Again, this is a reversion to the mean. So this time when the high prices cross up, that right, that means price, you know, broke the line. And so we want the short signal on a cross up. So that means we need to go to the output and we need crosses against direction. So, right, you know, having a signal with the cross in the same direction, right, a signal in the same direction of the cross, right, that's the standard. But we want a signal, you know, against the crossover direction. So we're going to put a 1. And, all right, if I can put a 1 in there, there we go. Okay, and there we go. Now problem solved. There we go. All right, so let's get rid of that. So there is our short there. And yeah, looks like the high didn't actually cross, yeah, that right there. So let's see here. And yeah, and right, there's our long crossing the inner envelope. But of course, we don't want long signals there. So again, we need to go back to our behavior evaluate and set this to short only signals. So there we go. Short only, got rid of that long. So now we can copy this one, paste it up here. And this will be the long signals when price crosses the 0.3%. There. And all right, so now I just need to go in and adjust the moving average envelope here setting. So now we're using 0.3, like so. All right, so we got the indicator adjusted. Oh, also don't forget to switch over the evaluate. So this crossover solver here is right for the long signals. There we go. And let's see if we actually get signals here. Nope. Right. Let me add a few more days here. Oh, yeah. We only have one day on the chart. There we go. There we go. Okay, there we go. Yeah. So yeah, when this question was emailed in, it actually suggested using a 5-minute chart. But of course, Bloodhound doesn't care, what chart you're on. But the 5-minute chart does offer more volatility here. And so there we go. Yeah, so we were able to get a signal right there. So that worked out good. And actually, yeah, we have two signals here. So we have a long and a short, like so. Yeah. So now, just like with the previous system, we need to combine both the long signal and the short signal together using an OR node. And there we have it. So, yeah, and there we go. And of course, this perfectly, illustrates, the issue with, these kind of signals here where, yeah, we'd be going long way up here where that bar closed. Although this one's a good one here, going short way above the entry line there. So that's not too bad. So, um, yeah. All right. So there's our, simple, discrete signals there, that match up with how this was written here. But of course, doesn't work too well with the entry description here of having a working order ready to be picked up. So all right, so that should do it for this question. Let's see. Yeah, so I guess, yeah, so before I look at the Q&A window here, see if there's any follow-up questions on this, I'll just note that um, the key to getting this to work is that we're using two indicators, right, with different settings, right? One MA envelope with a 0.2 and the other MA envelope with 0.3. So therefore, we had to use two solvers, right? Because a solver can only hold one indicator. You can't put two indicators into a single solver there. Well, you can't put two indicators into the same input. So, yeah. All right. So, yeah, let me take a quick look at the Q&A window here, see if there's any follow-ups on this. Let's see. All right. Well, hopefully Dave is still here. Okay, good. Dave's still here. All right. So Dave was asking, yeah, to put this up on the raw channel. So Dave, I don't take those requests in this workshop because unfortunately everything in the Q&A window gets deleted when I close Zoom. So in order to have a recording uploaded to the raw channel, you do need to email that in. Yeah, so please email your request in to have today's Bloodhound workshop uploaded to the raw channel here. Yeah, so what Dave is talking about is we have a Shark Indicators raw channel here, which is the unedited, right? In other words, the full recording of the workshops here. And this is just a temporary holding place while our video editor gets around to actually cutting the individual questions out of each of these workshops here and makes them their own shorter, smaller video. And we only upload the recordings to the raw channel on request only. So Yeah. So if you do want a recording uploaded here so you can watch it as soon as possible, because you can see our video editor is definitely getting a little behind here. Yeah, definitely getting behind here. So again, if you want a workshop uploaded to the raw channel here, you must email that into us. So just email that into our support there, and we'll get that done for you. So, okay. All right. Let's see. TP is asking, can I understand, is the long entry would be higher? No, this is a reversion to the mean. So actually, the long entry is lower. Yeah, the long entries are using the outer envelope. Hopefully you can see, I really did fade the inner lower envelope. I did fade that back quite a bit, but yeah, so when I select the indicator, yeah, you can see the longs is the outer band there, and the shorts is the inner band there. Yeah. And let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, all right. So TP is Troy. All right. Um, let's see here. Yeah, TP is looking to, yeah. So TP, my guess is you got here late. So I think you're going to need to watch the recording here. So I actually have, yeah, I already explained kind of what I did here. I built two separate systems here. Right, there's one system that works with this um, requirement, and then there's another system that works with this, because these are both in conflict, with the reality of trading there. Yeah, so you'll want to watch the recording from the very beginning so you understand what's going on here. So yeah, um, and so yeah, so what I would do is I would email into support in case Dave didn't hear my explanation. You can email into support there and ask for today's for the Bloodhound Workshop recording to be uploaded to the raw channel here, and then you can watch that hopefully later tonight. Yeah, should be up there ready to go later tonight, or it at least should be ready to go by tomorrow there. So yeah. All right, let's see what else Troy has here. Yeah, looking to take entries at the envelope. Yep, so we explained that one already. Um, yeah. All right, so question emailed in. Let's see. Yeah, Troy's asking, would it be a market at the lines? I don't know how you would do a market at well, actually, let's see here. Um, yeah, so that was one option I actually didn't do here. Um, yeah, so if you wanted to do a market um entry order when price actually touches the line there, you would need to make an adjustment here. Let's see here where, okay, let's go back to, there we go. We're going to go back to this one here, right? So, what we're seeing here obviously is signals when the bar closes. So if you wanted to see a signal in real time here, when price actually is literally coming down and come on, Ninja. Yeah, when price is actually coming down in real time, right? And hits that line, and and you want to see that short signal as price actually penetrates below that line there, or I'm sorry, you want to see, yeah, a signal, a long signal when price breaks below that line. Then that is what NinjaTrader's calculate setting does, right? So you'll have to, right? So you can control when these signals occur using NinjaTrader's calculate setting here. So if we open up the indicator here, right, and go to Bloodhound here, and with Bloodhound, there we go. So in the setup section here, right, you can change the calculate to on price change there, right? And actually, that's a setting that you'll have to do in Blackbird, right? Obviously, Bloodhound's not the one that places the market order. So you would have to take Blackbird and just change the calculate to on price change. So that in turn makes Bloodhound run with calculate on price change. And then your signals will occur as price actually hits that line, instead of waiting for the bar to close. So, all right. So, yeah, so that's all you need to do to make that adjustment there to submit a market order when price actually touches the line there. Let's see here. Oh, okay, good. So Troy was here from the beginning. All right, great. Good, good. Um, um, yeah, so again, Troy, yeah, just to make sure here, if you want to watch this video again over again, um, just to be clear on why I built two different systems here and the distinction between those two different systems. Yeah, just email into support there, and yeah, ask for the Bloodhound workshop to be uploaded to our raw channel here. Yeah. So, and of course, it'll be listed under the Bloodhound raw recording section here, right? Um, and let's see. Yeah. All right. So Troy's saying, yeah, I believe he showed the way to take the order at touch. Correct. Yeah. So that would be, let's get Bloodhound open again here. Yeah. So that would be this one here. So this one, um, where is it? Yeah. So this logic template here, I called it market entry on touch. And of course, what determines whether you get a market entry at the close of the bar or at the literal touch is determined by the calculate setting there, right? Right. That is the purpose of NinjaTrader's calculate setting. is it actually controls whether it's real time or at the bar close. Um, yeah, so this calculate setting. And if you're using Blackbird to place the orders, then really it's Blackbird's calculate setting that needs to be changed, not Bloodhound. Right. So yeah. All right. And so again, this other system here is for placing a working entry order here. Right. Yeah. So there you go. So once price gets close enough, then Blackbird has enough time to get an entry order placed and trailing the entry line there. Yeah. So it just depends on how you want to skin this cat. So right, either do it this way or do it this way. Yeah. So yeah, so hopefully this kind of helps everybody understand um, what the detailed level um, of designing your system here, right? Um, yeah, because every once in a while, um, at least the way it's written here, every once in a while I do get things, that are in conflict. Um, so yeah, because again, by the time, if price is actually touching, your indicator line there, then the reality is it's really too late to put a resting order there on that line. Because the problem is you have to figure out, well, should it be a limit working order or should it be a stop order? And with NinjaTrader 8, throwing errors when you're using stop entry orders, is problematic. And of course, that's something that you want to avoid. Um, let's see here. All right, let me continue to go through these questions and comments. Let's see. All right, got that one. Um, let's see here. Okay, yeah, so Troy's asking, yeah, can a working order be placed 1 to 2 points from the correct envelope line? I yes and no. You'd have to work out the mechanics of that. But yeah, we could do that here. So what? Let's see here. So all right. So going to the working entry order system here, and so the change you would need to make is, let's see here. Yeah, you'd need to make a couple of changes here. So we'll just focus on the solver here for the long entries. Right, there we go. Yeah. All right. So the way both of these comparison solvers are built, right, is input B is determining where does the low price need to get to generate a signal here, right? So input B is what's determining that. So let's see here. So right now, right, the moving average envelope is using the 0.2 setting, right? So since I already have, the moving average, the MA envelope with the 0.2, I figured out what the heck, I'll just use that. It's an arbitrary decision, right? You have to figure this out, what works with your markets. and what works with how fast the markets move these days. So I just arbitrarily picked that. If we wanted to, we could put this back to 0.3 there. So it actually is the entry line. So we're actually using the entry line there, the green line, right, of 0.3. And then if you wanted to use 1 or 2 points, then you have to go into the comparison rules here. And within the rules, we can set, don't double click in there. You can actually, in here, you can say, okay, let's take the moving average envelope line and then add 2 points to it, right? So it's taking this envelope line and it's adding 2 points. And if I hit apply, yeah, so there you go. After hitting apply, make sure everything's right. Yeah, so basically you can see none of these low prices, right? So the low price has to get less than or equal to the MA envelope line, and it's going to be, right, the green line, plus 2 points. So we take the envelope line, add 2 points, and so we're somewhere up here, 2 points above. And then it generates a long output. So we can see that actually 2 points is too far away. Let's put in 10 points. Let's see what happens there. Well, there he goes. So with 10 points, oh, that's right. Hold on. Move this down. I'm on the NQ. Yeah, so that's why the point spread is much larger now. Yeah. So yeah, so there you go, right? So that shows you could go to a fixed point value, which actually I had it in my mind to actually show this earlier on to give 2 separate options here. So yeah, thanks for bringing this up, Troy. So to summarize here, within the comparison rules, you can actually take, the actual entry line and then add or subtract, a fixed point value if you want there. Yeah, let's put in 20 points. There we go. If I put in 20 points, there we go. We're basically kind of back to the 0.2% envelope line as a way. So, yeah. So there you go. So you can kind of mix and match there, and yeah, do what you want. So I'm going to put this back the way it originally was. And so that's why this other comparison solver, right, for the short signals uses a envelope percentage of 0.1. Yeah, I mean, I don't have that one on the chart, but that's how we got the short signals to happen before price actually hits the 0.2 line. Is I'm using, in the solver, I'm using 0.1 as the indicator value, right? So yeah, I'm using the 0.1 there. So if I open up input B, if we take a look at the MA envelope settings here, yeah, there we go. I'm using 0.1 there. So again, if you wanted to use a fixed point offset, yeah, you could just set this back to 0.2, set it to the actual entry line setting. And then again, as I showed, go into the rules, the comparison rules here. And then for the short output settings, you could put in, your 20 points there. Let's see. All right, so that should do it there for Troy's latest question. Let's see what else we got here. So, okay, yep, yep. All right. All right. Well, if there's no more follow-up questions on this, then I'll move on to looks like, yeah, Manny has the next questions coming up here. Okay, so give me a moment here to kind of read through Manny's question again. Hmm. All right. Excuse me a second. All right, Manny. So I think I understand all the different components here that you mentioned. I'm guessing you are wanting to build a system using all these different indicators and indicator conditions. Um, yeah, I take it when you say, "Can I demonstrate?" that you want me to assemble all these indicators and their conditions together and see if we actually get a signal. Okay. Yeah. All right. My suspicion is I don't think you're going to get anything because I think the change in slope probably doesn't um, won't match up in parallel with the other conditions would be my guess. But you don't know until you actually, yeah, throw everything together. So, all right. So, give me a moment here, everybody, while I get my chart set up with all these different indicators here. Yeah. And also, I think the other wild card is using a Renko chart. Yeah, Renko charts really do weird things to indicators, but we'll find out. All right, I haven't used the Pro Ranko in a long time. Let's see, a Pro Ranko just 5. Okay. Um, yeah, let's put at least an extra day on there. Okay. All right, so we have all of our various components here. All right, so let's take a review here of what we're doing with all these indicators. Um, so the chicken volatility here, we're looking at the slope. So the chicken needs to be either rising for a long or falling for a short, right? um, we're looking at the Bollinger Band to be expanding. All right, so the Bollinger needs to be expanding for a long or a short. And the EMA 50, so here's the EMA 50, other red line. The EMA 50 needs to be rolling over. So it wants to use the change in slope, which the default settings for the change in slope is to identify when an indicator looks like it's starting to roll over. Right. Let's see if I missed anything. Nope, that's it. Just those 3 components. Okay, so let's start building. All right, we'll do the simple ones first here. So the Chaikin volatility here, right? The slope rising or falling. So let's grab a slope solver, connect that in. All right, pretty straightforward. And being on Renko bars, obviously it's causing the indicator to rise and fall pretty extreme there. All right, so that's one down. Next one, let's do the Bollinger expanding and contracting. So, all right, so go to our solvers, grab the expansion contraction right there in the middle. And all right, so let's switch our indicator over. Go, and let's see, we're using a 2 and 50 period. Okay. All right, yep, so we'll select the upper band first. And then for input B, that will also be the Bollinger. Adjust the period to 50. And this time we're going to select the lower band. And let's see here. All right, next let's go into the expansion contraction rules. And normally, yeah, I think normally you're probably going to want um, both of the what I don't want to say settings, both of the conditions to be the same here, right? So if you're looking for expansion, then set both of them to expansion. Right? If you're looking for contraction, then you're probably going to want to set both of these to contraction. So if we hit apply, right, there we go. So whenever the Bollinger is expanding, right, we get a long and a short output. And whenever it's contracting, there's no output. So that means no signal can occur when the Bollinger is contracting. So, all right. So there's the second component. And the last one here is the EMA 50 using the change in slope. There you go. Change in slope. All right, so for the input, let's switch this over to the EMA. $50 period. There we go. All right. And so looking at this one, let me find a good example. Actually, you know what? Yeah, sorry. I do stand corrected here on what I said earlier. Sorry about that. Actually, yeah, let me take a sec here. Let me go grab some water. I'll be right back. I need to go, yeah, grab some water here so I have something to drink. I'll be back in a second here. And we're going to talk about the change in slope when I get back. Yeah, we're going to focus on the red line right here in this area and discuss what is the change in slope doing here, right? You can see the output here is a fuzzy logic type of output here, right? So yeah, give me a second here to get a glass of water. All right, I'm back. So let's see here. So what the change in slope is trying to do, well, actually, what it is doing is it's looking at when an indicator is beginning to turn directions. So let's see, I'm really going to have to stretch this out. There we go. Right. So looking at the EMA here, right, we can see it's slowly kind of flattening out, right? And it might be, looks like it might be preparing to roll up. And so as the downward slope begins to flatten out, and possibly, reverse up, right? The output here also, so for the long output, so if this moving average is indeed going to reverse up, right, we can see the output is slowly increasing here, right? And it actually does reverse up here, right? So it dives down, for a couple more. We got a couple of down bars here, right? So it dives back down here, and then the EMA flattens out and eventually does roll up there, right? And we can see, right, the long output increases here, and the short output decreases here, right? As the downward slope flattens out, right? The short output decreases as the long output increases there, right? So, yeah, so Manny didn't specifically explain how he's using the change in slope. So, the way its default setting here, really all the change in slope is doing is, since we're not building a fuzzy logic system, it's really just telling us, is the indicator sloping up or is it sloping down, right? However, when it does begin to kind of roll over, right, we can see that there's no signals here, right? So in other words, when we combine this with the other conditions, with the other indicators here, right, we can see that we won't be able to get a signal when the EMA begins to flatten out, essentially. And let's kind of look back here. Yeah, let's see if I can find, yeah, there we go. All right, so we're in an uptrend here. Yeah, and we can see as the EMA begins to flatten out, right, because obviously, yeah, the Renko bars are doing a pullback, then there's no signal possible as that happens there. So, and okay, great. Yeah, so Manny's confirming. Yeah, he's just using the default change in slope there. Yeah. So this right here is really, this is the difference between using a slope solver, right? We do actually have, we just use the menu here, right? So we actually have a slope solver versus the change in slope, right? So the slope solver, it's going to give us a long output here, right? Because the EMA is still sloping up, just not as much as it was before, right? It's sloping up steeper, further back, and it's kind of flattening out, but it's still sloping up. So the slope solver would still give us a long output here, right? So this change in slope using its default outputs here, adds a little limitation here, so that, if the moving average is beginning to roll over or looks like it's rolling over, flattening out, no signals possible. All right, so next, we got all these components. Now we just tie them all together with an and node. And there we have it. There we go. So let's see here. Yeah, so let's take a look at these couple of bars here with a long signal, right? So if we look at the Bollinger, let's see. Yeah, the Bollinger contracted just prior. Yeah, so it actually was contracting for 1 or 2 bars here. Yeah, the Bollinger contracted right there, and then it started expanding again. All right, so the Bollinger is expanding. The EMA is definitely sloping up. And also the Chaikin did have a couple of up bars. So yeah, the Chaikin was, is moving downward, but it did have a couple of up bars there. And then it had a couple more up bars. So yeah, so there you go. Everything is in alignment there. And then we had one bar with no long signal, and that's because of our Chaikin indicator fell back down a little lower before it started to slope up again. So, all right, so there we have it. There. All right, so let me see if there's any follow-ups on this. All right, yeah, so Manny's asking increased constraints to filter noise. Yeah, that kind of advice we don't provide here at Shark Indicators. Yeah, so I'm not gonna, mention what kind of constraints you should use to filter out noise and stuff like that. Yeah, we don't offer trading advice, indicator advice, things of that nature. So we are not trading coaches. We are a software company, just like NinjaTrader doesn't teach you how to trade because they are a software company, right? They're not trading coaches. They just make the platform. Yeah. So here, so one of them tick minimum for Bollinger, tick minimum. Yeah. So let's take a look at the expansion contraction here. Um, so yeah. So if you wanted to, right, with the expansion contraction solver, you can say, okay, the two bands need to expand by at least X number of points or ticks. Yeah, so we could put in here a requirement that the Bollinger has to expand by X number of ticks. And actually, let's hold on a moment. Yeah, so that we can see this, let's shrink this up. And all right, yeah, so let's see. Yeah, we have a pretty significant expansion here, and we're getting some expansion there. So maybe, hopefully, we can see what happens here. So let's connect this to the result node. All right, so there we go. And let's go into the expansion contraction rules here. And if we put in, let's say 2 ticks, hit apply. And wow, okay. There is no expansion contraction anymore. Okay, I didn't think 2 ticks are going to remove everything. Let's see, even 1 tick. Um, let's try 0.2 ticks. There we go. Okay. um, there. Uh, yeah, so looking at the chart here, so we know the bands are expanding right on all these bars here, but we can see here, right, the expansion isn't quite as extreme here on these couple of bars here. Actually, let me just double check. Let's see. Yeah, we got 250. Yeah, 250. Okay. 250. All right. Yeah, I'm just double checking all my settings here. Yeah, because I would have expected um, that this that I didn't expect to have to put such a small value in there. Yeah. So, but yeah, it is what it is. Oh, let's see here. All right, yeah, let me just kind of reset that back to 0 there and connect that back up. And all right, let's see if there's any other follow-up questions. And yeah, all right. Well, I think that does it for this question here for this topic. And, well, let's see where we're at. We're at the 1.5 hour mark, just past the 1.5 hour mark. Okay. Um, not too not too bad. A little short for the average Bloodhound workshop. Um, so in any case, if anybody else has any other questions, now would be a good time to get them in here. So I'm all out of questions for now. All right. So if anybody has a follow-up question on what we did or a new question, yeah, fire away. And actually, I should give this logic template here a name. Let's see here. All right, good. So I got some more questions up here. Let's see. All right, so Manny has a question about the Bollinger. Right. Um, oh, okay. So Manny actually has a question about the expansion contraction. Yeah, the slope versus distance. Right. Yeah. So let's go back to the expansion contraction solver here. And so yeah, if we go into the rules window here, yeah, so there's two different kind of calculation types, right? Yeah, one uses distance. So distance being, right, like how many points is it, from the upper band to the lower band. And when you're, um, so with the Bollinger Band, right, mathematically, you can tell if the bands are expanding by measuring the top band to the lower band, right? And if the previous bar has a shorter distance than the current bar, then you know the band's expanded, right? And let's see here. Let's hold on. Yeah, let's actually connect this up here. So, yeah, here we go. Here's a great example. Erase this, right? So right in here, right? We can see the bands are both rising, right? They're both rising. So how do you know if the bands are expanding? Well, you measure the distance, right? So, this distance on this bar is shorter than the distance on the next bar, right? So the distance keeps expanding and expanding and expanding here. Right. So you can use distance when, let's move this over, you can use distance when both, when the indicator for input A and input B, when the indicator are both on the same scale. In other words, if they're both on the price panel, right, they're both using the same scale. They're using the price of the instrument as their scale. But what if you're using indicators on their own scaling system here, right? Well, then checking the distance may not work out, right? Because the indicator, let's see here. Gotta get back here, right? Indicator for A might be on its own scaling from indicator B, right? Indicator B might have its own scaling, right? So if you're comparing indicators, that have two different scalings here, then, then obviously you can't check the distance, right? Because you're not comparing apples to apples. So therefore you have to go to slope. So yeah, so your alternative is, you could look at the slope of the two indicators and see, are those slope, is the slope diverging, in other words expanding, or is the slope converging, contracting. So no. So, and again, don't forget that always pull up the help here. Pull up the help. Although honestly, I think personally, I think this is too small. I've always been used to large computer screens. So, so I would much rather, let's see here. Let's go to the main tab and we can go to help and then go to the documentation there. And then on the left, we can open up Bloodhound here, and under the solvers here, there you go. There's the expansion contraction. We can click on that. And let's see, here we go. The output rules, we can open that up and oh, there we go. Right. Um, there we go. I overlooked it. Okay, so here's the actual yeah, so this is just kind of a generic explanation of the rules windows here. Um, yeah, so let's open this up and oh no, sorry, this is the generic answer. So let me see. Hmm, looks like the explanation may not be there. Let's see. Hmm, yeah, look at that. Looks like I found an omission in our documentation. Hmm, yeah, so there is no explanation of the slope, you know, versus distance. All right. But as let's see if it's in here, maybe. No, it's not. Yeah, I didn't think it'd be in there. All right. Um, hmm. All right. I'll have to see about, yeah, getting that updated there. So, but um, yeah, as kind of explained earlier, it's nothing sophisticated. It's just, are you measuring the physical literal distance to determine if the two lines are expanding or contracting, or do you have to look at the slope output there? Look at the slope to see if they're expanding or contracting. Yeah. All right. So yeah, that was a good question there from Manny. Slope versus distance. All right. Yeah. All right, let's see. Let's see what Wayne has here. Wayne would like to see me set up a pullback on the MA logic. Um, Pullback on the move MA logic. Um, yeah, Wayne, could you give me a little better explanation? Yeah, kind of fill me in a little bit. Yeah, when you say the MA logic, I'm guessing you're referring to the first question in today's workshop. Um, but I do want to just confirm. Yeah, if you're talking about this first question or some other kind of moving average logic that I'm not aware of. So I'll circle back around to your question there, Wayne. Um, and let's see here. Let's see what else Manny has while I'm waiting on Wayne to get back to me. Let's see. Okay, no, it doesn't look like Manny has anything else. All right, let's see what Wayne has here. Oh, okay, okay. Um, oh, yeah, yeah. All right. Yeah, Wayne, yeah, if you had mentioned the question that you had emailed in, I actually did scan through your email yesterday. So yeah, I know what you're talking about. Okay, yeah. All right. So we actually have a totally new question here now. Um, so let me get set up for that. And actually, I'm also going to check to see if we already have a video on that. I think we might. I think we do have a video using Bloodhound version 2. I know we definitely have videos of Bloodhound version 1 if they haven't been taken down, but uh, yeah, let's just see what crossover pullback finds. Oh, there we go. So we already did this a month ago. All right. So there you go. Since it's only a month old there, Wayne. Yeah, I'm not gonna I don't want to clutter our YouTube channel with duplicate questions over and over again. You know, it's all right. Surprisingly, YouTube's search ability is not nearly as good as Google. Um, yeah, so uh, yeah, so I want to try and keep our YouTube um, as clean as possible. So there you go, Wayne. It's already been done. So um, yeah, I don't have any way to, Zoom doesn't provide any way to pass links because we don't have the chat enabled here. So again, all you gotta do is just go to, um, yeah, actually, let me show you the better way to do it. So on the training workshops page here, so to get here, go to support, right? And training workshops right there, second one on the list here. So go to training workshops and then scroll down to the bottom here to the recording section. And you can just use our little search box here, put in your search terms, hit that search button there. And all that does, right? All that does is it goes to our YouTube channel here, and you can see it puts the search term right there in the YouTube search box. All right. So you want to make sure that you use this is a little tip, a tip on using YouTube. You want to use this search box down here so that it only finds videos from shark indicators, right? If we put this up here, yeah, if we put this up here, then it searches all of YouTube, right? And obviously this has nothing to do with shark indicators. So I don't know what basketball has to do. Crossover pullback is a basketball thing. I didn't even know that. So yeah, so there you go. Good example. You don't want to use the search box at the top there. So uh, yeah, who knew that a crossover pullback was a basketball term? So there. All right. Well, yeah, we got Wayne taken care of there pretty quickly. Um, yeah. And yeah, and we can also see there were some other crossover things too. So moving average crossover with a price extension. Hmm. Uh, yeah, that was 4 years ago. Uh, and yeah, that looks like Bloodhound version one there. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's another um, iteration of a crossover there. So yeah, where the next three bars must close above the crossover bar high. So yeah, that's Bloodhound version two because that would be, yeah, this would be using the um, setup bar um, setup bar prices indicator to do that. So in any case. All right, well, gentlemen, I'm just waiting for the next question to come in here. All right, you too, Wayne. Good. I'm glad you got some education out of today's workshop. So that's what these workshops are all about, to slowly, increase your knowledge base on using Bloodhound, and kind of thinking about, thinking about your system in a more critical thinking way. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Have a good holiday break there, and we'll see you next year. Let's see. So we're finally at the 2 hour mark here, gentlemen. So yeah, kind of feels like we're running out of questions here. So I'll give everybody at least 10 minutes to get some more questions in here and keep things going. All right, but if I don't see any more questions in the next 10 minutes or so, then I'll assume we're done for today. So um, yeah. And also just a reminder here. So tomorrow is the Blackbird workshops. Actually, pull this up. Yeah, there we go. So um, the Blackbird workshops are on Fridays. So for tomorrow's workshop, we're going to finish answering um, this first question of today. Yeah, we'll finish setting up Blackbird to place those entry orders here, right? Per the one set of Bloodhound signals, yeah, that we built. So, all right, let's see if we have anything else in the Q&A window. Let's see. All right, yeah, it looks like Manny's taken off. All right, and Troy, yeah, so Troy, there, I will finish up your question in tomorrow's workshop. So, yeah. let's see. Okay, no, actually, no, I don't need to, yeah, I don't actually need to adjust your system here to demonstrate it in Blackbird. Um, yeah, I could always use an NinjaTrader simulated data feed, to force a signal. Um, However, setting it up in Blackbird tomorrow is going to be a piece of cake. Probably won't take it won't take more than 5 minutes to do it. It'll probably take maybe 10 to 15 minutes to explain it, but it literally will only take a couple of minutes to set it up. So yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Troy's saying, yeah, you can't use the real numbers here, and I never expect anybody. I can tell myself that people are changing the numbers and even changing the indicators, because obviously, yeah, no trader wants to divulge, their top secret system here. And we totally understand that. I can appreciate that. So, yeah, I think I can usually tell when people are changing numbers around, but that's fine. Again, the purpose of these workshops is not to give you guys trading systems, right? We at Shark Indicators, we do not create trading systems. We do not provide trading systems. This workshop here is to teach you how to take your ideas and implement them into Bloodhound. So, right. So therefore, having the exact indicators, having the exact indicator settings is not necessary, for the training of these workshops here. So yeah, so changing the indicators around, changing the values of the indicators, is perfectly fine. You still learn how to plug the indicators in to the solvers, and you're still learning what each of the solvers are doing for you, what they're identifying, what they're detecting, and what they're not. The indicator parts is, just a necessity of actually using, a Bloodhound solver. So, I don't think anybody's really, you know, when you watch a system being built, I don't think you're actually really learning anything here. Um, so yeah, you're not actually learning anything about the indicator. You're learning about, what different nodes to put together there. So, you know. Let me clean this up here. Let's delete that. There. Well, let's see. All right. Well, yeah, I don't actually see any Bloodhound questions yet. Um, all right. So, yeah, you guys, I'll hang around for another 5 minutes or so to see if anybody has any other, questions or anything else that you'd like to see built in Bloodhound. Um, so let me clean up the Q&A window here. Well, I am waiting on, oh, there we go. Actually, let's see what Troy has. Um, okay, yeah. Uh, yeah, Troy. So yeah, it sounds like you, right? You want um a stepping stop loss. Yeah, you want your stop loss to step up after X amount of profit. Yeah. So, yep. Yeah, we can all, yeah, we can do that. No problem. If you like, you can reply back to your email that you have um, there that you sent in. Just reply back to that with, yeah, with the details. So, you can work that out later on today, exactly how you'd want to step that stop loss. And yeah, just email that in to reply to that. And then I'll get that uh, email later on today or tomorrow, whenever you fire it off. Yep. And we'll add that to the list. No problem. So yeah, those things are always very easy to do in Blackbird. So yeah. So right. Okay. Yeah. So there we go. Some clarification. Yeah. So move that stop loss up as price, yeah, gets closer to the profit target. Yep. Right. Right. You never know. Price sometimes doesn't quite get to that profit target. And so you might as well tighten up your stop loss, do one or two steps, whatever you think is best, and tighten it up. So that way you're at least not taking a loss. If the market doesn't want to hit your profit target, yeah, at least get out of the trade with break even or no loss. Yeah, very common. I get those questions all the time in Blackbird. Yeah. So, um, yeah. So once you just, yeah, attach that to your email and send that in and we'll add that to it. Yeah. All right. So let's see here. One last comment here before we wrap it up today. So if you want a copy of today's Bloodhound file here, I'm sure several of you want a copy of today's Bloodhound file, and you can get a copy of NinjaTrader's chart template as well. You can get that two ways. You can either email in and ask for a copy of today's Bloodhound and chart template file. Email that in and ask for that, or later on today, um, you can go to the support menu and right here, template files, right? So this is the installer. This installs Shark Indicators, but these are the template files from these workshops here. So if we open this up on another tab here, yeah, so this is for the template files. And if you look here, right here are the Bloodhound template files. Here's the Blackbird template files. So to get today's Bloodhound file, just go into the Bloodhound section there, right? and make sure you sort by date. Sort that by date. And there you go. And they'll all be listed in order. So there you go. So you can see there is the last Bloodhound workshop just before Thanksgiving. And they're all listed in order. So today's file should be listed up here in a couple of hours from now. So, and then also if we back out here, yeah, so if we're back to the main page here, you can also get the chart template here as well, these chart templates. Same thing, just go into that and click on date. And there you go. The chart templates will be sorted there as well. So, and yeah, and always remember in the description, it always tells you where these files need to go, right? So there you go. That's where the chart templates need to go, right there. And there's also a video at the bottom of these pages as well. So this video kind of explains, explains where these files go as well. So, all right. So that's the two ways that you can get the files from these workshops there. Just go to support template files, and you can kind of cruise through. If you're looking for inspiration, you can always take a look at the sales webinar files here. So quite often we get existing customers asking for the Bloodhound and Blackbird files that I use when we put on a sales webinar. So all those are here. Yeah, again, yeah, you can sort by date. Yeah. I don't know where the videos are for these, unfortunately. I would expect, if it says Traders Corner, then you probably can go to Traders Corner's website and watch the video, since they were the one that hosted it. Same thing if it's Shark Week, right? That's going to be us. We host the Shark Week. Let's see. I think they're probably. Yeah, there's some old ones here from Futures IO. And so Futures IO would host the video for those sales webinars. Anyways, yep. So that's how you can get these template files, is just go to the template files menu there. All right. Well, let's see if there's any questions here for Bloodhound. Nope. All right. All right. It's been almost 20 minutes and I haven't seen any more questions for Bloodhound. So I think we're done for the day. So, all right. You guys have a good holiday break. If I don't see you tomorrow, then I'll see you guys next year. All right. You guys have a good one. Till next time. Bye-bye.